Hello everybody and welcome to Friday at Motorcycle Live. Now today I've got to wear a mask because the rules have changed, so you'll have to excuse me. But we're here at the Kawasaki stand. This is a bike I missed the other day. It's a super special paint job on the ZX-10RR. So they're calling it the Retro Special, and basically what it is, you can buy the ZX-10R or the ZX-10RR and then pay 1,500 quid for the fairing and bodywork in this color, and then 500 for the wheels, and it'll give you something that's super retro. And I think they say it's inspired by the legendary ZXR 750RR, and they've got a nice picture of it there. But for me, this is a very nice looking motorcycle. I think there's a bit of a theme of retro sports bikes at the moment. So we have the 30th anniversary edition of the Fireblade, for example, that I covered the other day. And now this, I like it. It's a little bit more popping than the regular black and green that you get on the ZX-10Rs. So yeah, nice one, Kawasaki. Over at the HERALD stand now, previously they've mainly imported sort of Chinese bikes and then given them a bit of a custom feel, but this is, well, the engine's imported, but the rest of the bike is designed and built in the UK. This is the Brute 500, so 500 single, I think it's about 40 odd horsepower and similar peak torque, but it really is a very nice looking bike, super slim at the back end here. In fact, from this view, it should make for a very narrow and agile little bike. Good quality components and then a nice sort of stripped down look in the cockpit. I think it looks like it'll be proper good fun. I'm speaking to them about having a go on one sometime in the next few months. I believe that they are actually going to be selling them, yeah, early next year. So fingers crossed, and I'll look forward to getting a hold of one of these. Back over at BMW, the other day I missed this one, and yeah, I really wanted to come back and shoot a bit with it. Now it's the CE-04, an electric urban mobility scooter type thing, and for me it just looks incredible. I thought this was like a concept bike, but I believe in a few months' time you'll be able to go and test ride one and buy one in a BMW dealership. It really is super futuristic looking. I love this single-sided swing arm at the back with the disc wheel. It's got the big 10.25 inch dash that you get on there. K1600, the R18, and the RT as well, the R1250 RT, and it gets loads of rider aids, so all the stuff you can normally add to an internal combustion bike, like their lean sensitive traction control and ABS, you can spec on this as well. I think it's about 45 horsepower, 60 newton meters of peak torque, and about 80 miles of range, which I think is probably realistically enough for most city commuting. I just can't believe how long and low it looks with that big flat bench seat. It really is quite a big bike, and yeah, I'd love a go on one of these. Now this is a bike that I've been asked about on the channel quite a bit. It's the LANGEN. So a two-stroke bike that's largely made in the UK, designed in the UK as well. It's a two-stroke engine, like I say, 75 horsepower peak up at 11,000 RPM. The engine's built in Italy and then brought in, but like I say, the frame, the bodywork, everything else in the UK. Now, when I was at Goodwood with Triumph earlier this year, I actually heard it going up the hill, and it makes a right racket. It's absolutely awesome to hear it at full gas. It must be pretty good to ride as well. They say it's like a relaxed sport bike geometry, and also it's 125 kilograms, so it should make for a pretty good power to weight ratio. But I think more than anything, you just have to admire the sort of craft and design. The bodywork with the carbon just looks absolutely stunning. The work that's gone into the frame, and then also this swing arm with the two piggyback shocks, almost mounted like you'd see a monoshock, but yeah, there's one either side. Oh, and these exhausts, so this one coming up here and then one under the seat. Cracking looking bike. Over at the Harley-Davidson stand, and I think my video might get demonetized because of the music in the background. We've got get it on, bang it on. Is that T-Rex? Anyway, the big bikes for this year are the Pan America, which has been very popular, but also the new Sportster S, a bike that I reviewed a few months ago. I'll link to the review in the description. Really enjoyed it. It's quite a lively thing, probably the most lively Harley you'll ever ride. But what's interesting here is that they've got this one heavily accessorized, this one over here as well. So the one that I rode was pretty stripped back, no accessories, so nothing at the rear wheel here, no pillion seat. And what that meant was that you got a lot of spray up your back. So clearly they've tried to deal with that with this mudguard accessory. And like I say, you can get a pillion seat now, pillion pegs, and then also crash bars, windscreen. So turns it into a little bit more of a practical bike. Is it a practical bike though? Not quite sure about that. Certainly the suspension at the rear is quite firm, so probably not the best choice of the Harley lineup for two-up touring. But yeah, for a short stint down the road to the shop or whatever, it might just about do. All right, so we're over on the KTM stand now, and we've got the Super Duke 1290. Wait, 1290 Super Duke R Evo. Now, I absolutely love the Super Duke R when I rode it last year. It's an absolutely brilliant bike. Such a blast to ride, and the engine is one of the most lively and fun engines I've ridden in any bike. I also had the Super Adventure S, and what I really liked about that bike was the comfort levels and also the semi-active suspension from their in-house WP brand. All the goodies, so, you know, anti-dive, automatic preload and semi-active damping. And what I like about this bike is it's the marriage of the two things. So the Super Duke R, but with that really advanced electronic suspension. £17,899, so not cheap, but I reckon this is going to be an absolute, I was going to say an absolute beast, but that's the marketing line for it, isn't it? But yeah, fair play, it does look like a beast. Now, for basically the same money, you can have pretty much the same bike, or similar in many ways, so same engine and then the semi-active suspension, similar brakes and all that good stuff, but in this GT format, so a little bit more touring focused. It gets a different chassis, different riding position, a bit more wind protection, and also new for this year is their big TFT dash with their kind of more advanced built-in turn-by-turn nav system. I think it's called Turn-by-Turn Plus. You can already get nav, I think, on the other bike if you pay for it with sort of pairing with your phone, but this does like offline maps and some more advanced features. Not a bike I've tried, but I need to rectify that this year. Now, I can't believe I missed this one in my first video, because this is, you know, very popular and much sought after at the show, and it's the HUSQVARNA Norden 901. I saw the original concept back at EICMA in 2019. It feels like a long journey to get to the point where it's actually going to hit the market, but here we have the final production bike, and I've got to say, in the flesh, it still looks absolutely incredible. They've done a great job of preserving a lot of the aesthetic of that really sort of striking looking concept, and yeah, this is one I'm really looking forward to riding. The 890 Adventure, I would say, is the easiest middleweight adventure bike to ride. It holds its weight so low because of that fuel tank that hangs down either side, and so this gets very much the same design, same engine, similar chassis, similar fuel tank design. There are a few tweaks though, a little bit taller in the suspension than the standard 890 Adventure. The tank has been reworked so that it fits with this new bodywork. You've got a bit more bodywork up here, so I hope it hasn't compromised the sort of easiness of the ride on that bike. I'm not a huge fan of the KTM aesthetic. It's all personal taste, but the sort of orange angular look doesn't really do it for me. This does a lot. It really solves a problem. So could this be the perfect middleweight adventure bike? I cannot wait to find out. Now, we had a look at the new Katana and the GSX S1000 the other day, but actually I think Suzuki's best received bike of the year has to be the GSX GT. Much like the S1000, it really seems to have hit the mark in terms of affordability, good features, proven engine, good spec, good performance, but without too much unnecessary tech perhaps that might push it over what's acceptable in terms of pricing. The only reservation I've got is that the windscreen isn't adjustable, but it's a touring bike that you're gonna push that little bit harder and maybe get into a sportier riding position, and it does look like it really ramps up as well. So I'll reserve judgment on the wind protection on that bike until I get to ride one. Also, at the same time, we've got the Hayabusa updated for, well, this year / next year. Now, it's not a revelation. I think there's actually less peak power, although Suzuki do say it's quicker because of the mid-range. There's some new tech and that sort of thing, some tweaks to the brakes and suspension, but ultimately they've decided not to mess with a proven formula. And also, aesthetically, you could argue the same. It's distinctively a Hayabusa, just with a slightly more modern edge. I think it's quite good looking. It looks better in the flesh, especially with these Akropovich pipes. Let me know what you think of it though, down in the comments. So we're back over at Ducati, and I can't believe I missed this the other day. It's the Streetfighter V2. Now, not a great deal to say about it, other than that it's a Panigale V2 without the fairing and with some higher handlebars. But the reaction from the press launch a couple of weeks ago seems to be that it's a really good bike and a much more approachable option than the Streetfighter V4, which is a bit of a beast. The only thing is it kind of sits in a bit of a weird space in terms of price and competition. So I think it's about 15 grand, maybe a bit more. Not that much cheaper than the Panigale, and also a little bit more expensive than other options like the KTM 890 or the Street Triple, I guess. But look, it really is quite a striking looking bike, and you can't resent anybody for paying that little bit more for a red Italian Ducati. Anyway, that wraps it up for today. There's so many good bikes to see. I don't think I've quite covered them all, but it's been a really good experience getting to see them in the flesh, sit on them, see what they look like in terms of finish up close. And honestly, the show generally has been really good. I think I came a couple of years ago in 2019, and probably because I'd been to EICMA a few weeks before, which is huge. This felt a little bit scaled down, but I've got to say this year coming at it fresh, and perhaps with a bit of starvation of motorcycle events for the past couple of years, you know, I can see it's a really good show. I think a lot of manufacturers and also the smaller exhibitors, accessories and that kind of thing have put a lot of effort in, and it's really paid off. It's been a brilliant show, so if you get a chance to come next year, I'd thoroughly recommend it. Thanks for watching. Let me know which your favorite bike was down in the comments, or if you've got any questions about the bikes, I'll try and get back to you. And if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.